over the course of the last 2 weeks, we were really taking a hard look at what the trading deadline could do for us. You've heard me state in the past that we were looking to acquire pitching, and that was certainly one of our goals, but we were also looking to find talent. Obviously, this year has not gone as we planned, so we really wanted to focus on what 2024 and beyond would look like. And we felt like as we had players that were attracted to other teams, we had players that were becoming free agents, and we felt like the timing may be unique for the St. Louis Cardinals. We had to do this, and it's not a happy moment, but we certainly are excited about the future opportunity we were able to acquire today. So at this point, I'd be happy to take a few questions.
So among the prospects you got back, are they guys you project to make the roster next season?
Well, it's, as far as like what expectations are, I think we'll allow the remaining part of this season to play out. I think obviously it's immediate depth. As you guys can imagine, there's been times where we've had trouble even filling out 13 roster spots up here. And so I think the flexibility that this does for us is pretty immediate, but we also do believe that some of these young men have some upside that will contribute for a long time here.
Anybody would know specifically it's Sam, and I believe it's pronounced Robertson. Is that accurate?
I believe it's Roberts.
Robert. Yeah. There's a different sources. Anyway, can you talk about his strikeouts, his swing and miss, and how that can translate to the Cardinals maybe even as soon as next year?
Well, I think his actual mix is interesting, right? Because he's not all swing and miss, but he's the strike thrower, does get ground balls. I think the fact that he's so young, he'll be able to go to AAA and be knocking on the door to the big leagues is exciting. And so we did spend a lot of time looking at that phrase swing and miss. And by doing so, we spent a lot of time trying to understand pitch quality and how that might play into having more success in that. And so the pitchers that we did identify do fall into that to some level, and that does give them some uniqueness. But now, we obviously got to get them into our system and see how things work. But clearly, as we sit here today, just based on our analysis, our scouting, we feel pretty good about what we were able to acquire. And so Roberts is an exciting arm.
Dakota Roby hasn't been pitching the last month or so. He's had an arm injury. Can you kind of go through what his intermediate, what that looks like?
Yeah, actually, just hung up with him before I walked in here because he was asking for permission to go play catch. It was a lift day. As you can imagine, someone gets just traded. The team that just traded them are probably like, do not get hurt on our property, all that, and, which look, I have empathy for. But he'll enter into our rehab program in Jupiter, but we do expect him to pitch this season, so competitively. And so obviously we'll know a lot more once we get our hands on him, but based on our medical reports, we obviously believed in them or felt like he was in a good position to start throwing, and so we do hope we see him this year.
Yeah, we haven't seen what he says. I can't come here and join the major league team.
I believe so. Yes, I say that in the sense of I do want to review where we are in our roster. I mean, usually you don't have this many wholesale changes, but when I spoke to him, I told him the point is playing the St. Louis.
Well, what was it like for you to push the button on kind of working apart the lows? I mean, that's not something you've done that okay, it's time to go.
Yeah, I think I came to that realization though a couple weeks ago. So to get us to this point, then became just the game of really our patience. As you can imagine, both Monty and Hicks, even Stratton, there was a lot of interest in that, and so the key was trying to really optimize our return as best we could. And so when you say how was it to hit the button, I think mentally that happened a while ago.
Well, as you mentioned multiple times, this is the first time in your tenure, at least, and for many people in this room, that the Cardinals are selling. So the returns can be a little bit confusing, especially when you're on record saying you want to compete for 2024, but there's also a need to bolster the farm system. How do you feel like you can balance both of that while taking advantage of a seller's market for the first time?
Well, I think the way I would look at so far, like what we've been able to get in our returns are people that are going to be pitching at our upper levels, right? And so we feel like we've added some depth that will have immediate impact in 2024. But also, there are some longer range plans so far in that. And the trading deadline hasn't come and gone, right? Today was an event. We moved 3 key players. Do I anticipate more to come? Probably. We have roughly 24 or 48 hours left in this, so we're going to just roll our sleeves back up after I leave here, kind of reassess where we are. Might change some of our goals now because of what we were able to accomplish, and so we'll just talk through that this evening, and then prep for tomorrow and Tuesday.
How so? When you say change some of your goals, what do you mean? What's the dial there?
I've been saying all along, right? Pitching, and we felt like we got a lot of pitching so far. And so if there's something that might not be a pitcher, now we might pursue it. Whereas a lot of what we were focusing on in the last week or so was really trying to find the right pitchers.
Isn't it all when you add depth like you've had today? I mean, there's considerable depth in the moves today. That allows you to maybe take some risk upside on guys, or maybe guys who are not maybe maximize their talents and become more risk oriented.
I feel like the group we got though really does have some upside.
Okay, well I'm not, but they're also numbers.
And in terms of taking more of a, I don't know, is the phrase like Hail Mary approach or something with that. I don't know if we have to do that, but that's always in sort of the way we think about things. Understanding how much risk are we putting on one prospect. But we do feel like most of the players we got today, with the exception of the player rehabbing Roby, these guys are going to go out and compete right away and should have some pathway to this organization at the major league level.
You mentioned you spoke to Roby, you've spoken to Sam, and what can you share about his personality and his mindset heading into this Cardinals thing?
Which one, Sam or both?
Sam.
Sam, yeah, unique, right, name. Obviously, this was probably like all of these guys a little stunned. Getting traded is such a unique experience, and I think all of us don't really ever experience that, and so having empathy for understanding what that's like, or wow, who's this guy Mo calling me, and why, and where am I going? All of that is hard to digest, and even the major league guys, hearing it becomes real, right? Okay, I'm not coming here tomorrow, and I'm no longer with the Cardinals, and yes, it's exciting. I might be going to Texas or Toronto and competing in a playoff run, but it's still kind of a wow moment or stunning. But he has excellent English. He's easy to talk to. But I would imagine my conversations with him in the future will be a little different than today. And I told him catch his breath and wish him success and look forward to meeting him. But yeah, it can be stressful.
What were your conversations with Jordan Hicks and Jordan Montgomery leading up to today? Were you keeping them in the loop that, hey, we're looking to trade?
No, I really didn't do that because of the uncertainty of what if we didn't, and I know that's sort of I don't know if there's a perfect answer there, but I think everybody was sort of aware of what may happen, so I didn't feel like I needed to go down and have face-to-faces with them, but obviously, like I said, even on the major league side, guys still, even though they probably knew it was coming, it's still oh gosh, here it is.
What was your message to them after they got traded?
My message to all three was, don't want to burn any bridges. Really appreciate everything you've done for the organization. I wish you the very best, and hopefully one day we reunite.
Well, you've got 2 starters under contract for next season. In this group that you got
Sounds
back,
like we need more.
do you see any of this group that could contend for one of those spots?
I don't want to go in putting pressure on people that just are finding out they're part of the organization in 5 minutes, and I think allow some time for evaluation. We certainly think this group that we just got from the pitching side is going to have some impact on our organization, or I should say on our major league club in 2025 or 2024, but I don't know the role and I don't want to define that today.
Well, is there kind of an estimation of how soon these guys could be suited up for one of the affiliates?
My guess is Tuesday. unless there's some travel issues that occur, but, as you know, Mondays are always off, and, so we'll allow them to gather their things and hopefully fly out Tuesday.
Mo, you've
As
spoken
clubhouse
of,
now, you still have two pitchers who will reach for each this winter, and a position player who could, depending on team options. Is your goal between now and Tuesday to find suitors for all of those players, some of those players? How do you look at that?
I think I'll go back to what I said earlier, that, you know, we understand there's still 48 hours left in this deadline, so it's not today. We'll take our time, we'll reassess where we are, and we will, you know, plan accordingly. But, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter what I want to do, it's what other people want to do. So I think we just have to be realistic about that, but as I mentioned earlier, I don't think we're done today.
Having taken significant moves with the rental players today, does that put you now in a position where maybe you can focus on shifting around longer term assets and looking at maybe players with control look like?
I wouldn't rule anything out today. You know, again, like, I do feel like, to some level, I feel like today it's over. It's not. There's time, we gotta reassess, and if there's a baseball trade to happen, we should be open-minded to it.
Mo, where's Thomas Sagassi, is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, so JC.
Sagisi. Where's he being signed?
I believe double-A, but I'd have to check.
and Mo, you
Let me see if I have that. But keep going.
talk about prioritizing pitching, but what do you like about that infielder, Sagasi, and what he brings to you guys?
Well, we think he's just a good baseball player. And, you know, I think when you're, as I said, we were going pitching, but, you know, when we were trying to accomplish that deal to really get the most talent, to optimize talent in that deal, then we had to think outside the pitching box. And we really think he's a player that can play all over, kind of the ilk of like that Donovan type player, and obviously we love what we've seen out of Brendan Donovan, and you know, if we can have another one of him, that would be awesome.
Did that contribute at all into kind of, as you're looking into this player, to say we've seen what it can be like to have a guy that brings that skill set and how beneficial that can be?
I would imagine like that's just like human nature that worked into it, but we also use like scouting reports and statistics to sort of make these decisions, and we just think he's a really good player.
Well, Holly said something, he said he wouldn't mind seeing these guys in Cardinal uniforms again, the guys who are leaving today. Does that enter into it? Are those guys you would welcome back, guys you want to pursue?
Yeah. Holly and I met with all three. That was our message. You know, obviously today they're dealing with the reality of putting on a new uniform tomorrow, but when the market opens, you know, we'd certainly have interest in looking.
No, with Texas double-A team being Texas League as well, did that kind of play a role in getting looks at some of those prospects?
Never hurts, yeah. Obviously, whenever you have your coaching staff that sees a lot of players, that's certainly helpful. But look, the reality is you know, this was about the parent club, Major League team, and where we thought we could optimize our deals.
One of the downstream effects from today is the way that implicates certain impacts you're forwarding them. Obviously, you have openings now that you would not have otherwise had. Does that give you the possibility, the flexibility with guys who are Memphis and talk about Mason Wynn, where you might have an opportunity that would not otherwise?
Yeah, let me address Mason Wynn. Obviously, he's having a tremendous year. We're super excited about what we're seeing out of him, but I don't know when that button will be pushed, right? Could I imagine seeing him in the big leagues in 2023? Yes. The timing of that is, I don't know. But does having roster flexibility help in regards to that? Yeah, because I mean, like the last 2 weeks, we've been hamstrung on roster decisions. So, you know, freeing up a few spots is certainly a good thing.
Mo, going back to the rotation spots that you guys will have open for 2024, how important or how much of an impact does what you've seen from Steven Matz since his return to the rotation and what you might see the rest of the season have on
I'm
that?
absolutely thrilled of what I've seen out of Steven Matz. When you think back to when we signed him, why we signed him, the last 3 weeks was exactly what we were hoping to see, and it's been impressive.
How does that play into your plans going forward, what he does the rest of the way?
Well, I mean, I hope he keeps replicating what he's doing the rest of the way, and if so, you can just, you don't need a pencil, you can use pen and put him in our rotation for next year.
John, Ollie said the other day, he said he doesn't feel that you're that far away, that this team can be competitive next season with some adjustments. Do you share that thought?
Absolutely. I mean, we like our club. I mean, like, look, we can point to everything, right? Bad luck, use excuses like WBC, injuries, whatever, but we still believe it's a pretty good team. We really like our everyday club. Obviously, we got to sort through what the outfield's going to look like. We've got to resolve what that looks like, and understand that. You know, in terms of like what our middle infield's going to look like next year, we need to do that. But we think just like pure talent, pure production is real. And when you look at some of the things that have happened to us this year, we definitely feel like that's where the inconsistencies of just how we played overall came into effect. But we do think it's a team that's close. It's not that much different than it was last year in terms of faces and names, but you know, today we had to take the poison pill. We had to make changes, and they began.
Is it possible we'll see clarity on the starting outfield for 2024 by Wednesday morning or Tuesday?
I don't know. I mean, that's purely speculation. I think I think I'm just going to leave it as, look, 48 hours left. We'll see where it takes us.
John, what's your feeling on, do you
I
have
gotta
too
go
many?
soon.
What's that?
I gotta go. One last question. Go ahead.
Too many outfielders, the theory that you have too many, I mean, can you ever have too many outfielders?